The War of the Ancient Dragons began thousands of years ago, and the Erdtree capital came under siege, led by a gargantuan dragon.
I love these intro
Sax.
animations.
The dragons wielded heavenly bolts of red lightning, and so the Knights of the Erdtree learned to fortify themselves against it, and stayed on the defensive until Godwyn the Golden delivered the decisive blow.
Boom!
He stood before another legendary dragon known as Dread Fortisax and defeated him. But instead of granting death, he showed mercy. He offered friendship, and it was with this act that the ancient dragons and the Golden Order truly became one.
Was it true friendship, or did he just like say, "Hey, I'll let you live if you like work for me" or something? Was it, you know what I mean? Like, was it really a friendship, or was he just using him?
Years later, a dire plot was put into action, a plan to kill Godwyn the Golden. So a fragment of the Rune of Death was stolen from the black blade that was designed to contain it. This fragment was then inscribed onto a set of black knives, which the black knife assassins would wield, and with cloaks of silver that fooled the eye, they snuck into the capital and delivered the first destined death.
All they needed was
millennia.
those cool torches. That's why I keep a torch
Godwyn
in my car at all
should have
times.
died a
You never know.
clean, true death, but he did not. Instead, as the mark of death was being carved into his flesh, it was at that very moment also being carved into another of his kin, the Lunar Princess Rani. Rani got her wish and perished in flesh alone, which freed her soul.
Was she actually, when they say it was carved into her flesh, was that like physically happening? Was this happening in two different spots, or was this sort of like a magical, like it's happening to him, so it's happening to his sister kind of thing?
But Godwyn died in spirit alone, and so his body suffered an unimaginable fate. His living corpse would spread a peculiar brand of undeath through the lands between via Deathroot, and wherever there is Deathroot, the hunters of the dead are sure to fall.
Oh, what's this guy?
There's
D?
no mistake, is there? Death has left its
I love that
mark
armor.
once again. I'm sorry. I cannot give you your proper rights, but at least you did not join those who live in death. Your soul will return to the Erdtree in time.
I know what the ending's about on this one. I think in the end you stop, or you bring back like destined death, or you end up having like people die. They don't get reborn with the Erdtree, making it a little more normal. So I think as a human, I might see that as like a normal sort of ending, and maybe this is all good. But it would be kind of cool to live forever. So I'm interested in this one because I don't really know how I'm going to feel about it.
Ah, a tarnished, are you? I'm known as D. I hunt
D's
down
nuts.
those who live in death and weed their death root. Heed my warning. The village here has been touched by death, and worse yet, it is home to a mariner. If you value your life, then go no further.
I think the Mariners just look so stupid. Like, they're so cheesy. I mean, I like them, and I get like the kind of the lore behind it a little bit, but it's they're just so silly. Like a ghost on a boat that goes around on land and stuff. They're just a funny enemy.
Have long been left to wander, and what they need is true leadership. The mariners can call to those who live in death and offer them some semblance of guidance, but they make poor leaders and even poorer fighters. So it is that the dead continue to live without purpose.
Well, well. Another fool who won't listen to reason, eh? But with a prowess for weeding Deathroot. I spotted the mark of the centipede here in the village. An ill-omened symbol that should
Man.
not be.
What is the coolest armor in the game? I start a conversation about this. I need to know. I think this is one of the coolest because it's so fucking crazy, man. It's just like a full body wrapped around your armor set, like holding it. It looks really cool. I'd love more of an explanation of this one, actually. But then beyond that, like, what's the best one? What am I missing? Oh, I also really, really, really like the what's that guy's name? The brother of the guy, Dalius's brother, the dude with the double whips up in the mountains. That armor set is sick.
Someone or something threatens the sanctity of the Golden Order and must be eradicated.
Rock to the face.
Dee claims to have seen the mark of the centipede in this village, and it seems he's talking about the death root here, which is at the very heart of those who live in death.
The mark of the centipede is the half of the, it's the mark of the stabbing, right? That, Goldwyn and Ronnie get from their cuts, right?
Death root carries the curse of the centipedal half-wheel wound, which raises the dead from their graves, ordering their bodies to life, without a soul, without guidance, and without grace.
How would you like to earn the strength of beasts? If you're inclined to hunt more of those who live in death and weed their death root, then I'll introduce you to Garank. I have a matter of my own to attend to, and the beast himself wishes for someone to take my place. What say you? Very well. Show me your map. I've marked the location for you. It will lead you to Garank, the beast clergyman.
The bestial sanctum lies past Farum Great Bridge, deep within the Caelid wilds, past the Volga militiamen, who are short, brutal mercenaries, and the Black Blade Kindred, who are a patchwork of champions put back together with corpse wax.
How many of y'all just like tried to cheese that guy from the rear for like way too much time, just like hiding in the building or running around the side and trying to cheese him before you were ready?
Yeah, in defense of
this guy.
Or should I say Malekith? He is Marika's loyal shadow.
Yeah, Garank is Malekith.
Once kept the rune of death bound within his black blade. That is, until a piece of that death was stolen. Afterwards, he buried the black blade deep within his very self, so that no one could steal it, ever again.
I smell it. Death.
When you fight Malekith, are we in a different time when we go out to that area? Is it a different time? Is that why he's Garank here, but later turns into Malekith? Or is it just, are we still in the same timeline?
Feeded me.
Suffused with the rune of death, Malekith now hungers for Deathroot, desperate to gather back what he strongly feels are the missing parts of himself.
Tarnished, bring more deaths. I shall grant thee eye and claw. Feed me more.
More.
But there was a time before the rune of death was bound, and so there were other cultures of death, ways that were even practiced outside the lands between, where the Tarnished lived in exile.
Greetings, great champion called by grace.
Hi.
I am Fia. Circumstances have compelled my stay at the Round Table Hold. Great champion, would you allow me to hold you? But briefly.
Yeah, let me get that brief debuff.
My thanks.
It never goes away. Man, I had that debuff.
You are very warm. I was known
sad, really,
as a deathbed companion. Where I come from, after I received the warmth and lively vigor from a number of champions, I lay with the remains of an exalted noble. To grant him another chance at life, to do so is the purpose of my being. But before I could bear the noble into new life, I was awakened by the guidance.
Okay, so I was gonna say, like, she's being very vague with her wording, and you know, you might say, like, I'm gonna lay with deceased noblemen or whatever. Like, look at this picture we're looking at right now. She's laying there like all naked with a corpse. It's absolutely disgusting. What does she really do? Does she really just go in and lay there? And what does that do? It's so weird.
Of grace and chased from my birthplace.
Originally, the deathbed companions existed to provide a simple comfort to those who were dying. But at some point,
Hospice care
it was discovered that a
of the
deathbed
lands
companion
between
could use the vitality of others to birth dead remains into new life. And so the deathbed companions became a tool, a path to rebirth for the privileged, who told the deathbed companions who to lie with and when, so that one exalted being might get a second chance at life.
Can they walk? She's always
Despite
laying down,
all
right?
that, I still wish to be a deathbed companion. So please, let me hold you like this, as often as it takes.
Okay, so does that explain the debuff because she holds you and takes some of your life force away?
But it's not all about you. After all, you are not the only tarnished that fear lays with. And who knows what secrets are shared in her bedchamber?
I'll be telling secrets.
Ah, nice to meet you. The pleasure's mine. Roger's the name. I'm looking for a little something here in the castle. When I'm not hot-footing it from the troops, that is. But enough about me. What are you doing here in Stormvale Castle? This place is bristling with tarnished hunters, you know. They sacrifice our kind for grafting. Not exactly a place I'd stroll into without a purpose in mind.
How many hands you
external
got?
threats have laid.
I always felt like having a third or fourth hand would actually be, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But that dude got way too many, and they're in really stupid spots. Like, who needs an arm that sticks out of your shoulder? All dumb.
Waste to Stormvale over the years, and now the castle is marred by mottled thorns that have worked their way through the tortured stone.
Oh, I thought this was because they're like pretty round. I assumed that it was like attacked and that by like cannons or something.
Soldiers mutter that it's the curse of grafting that causes such an affliction, but some talk of its root being something much more sinister, hidden deep below the castle. That is why Roger is here, on a mission of his own. And as you square up against Godric, he is searching for the source of the mottled thorns. And he finds it. For the world has grown crooked, and if one intends to put it to rights, then they'd best understand what happened to make it that way.
There's like you see Roger get like impaled by the death thorn things in this area. What's going on there? I've always wondered that.
No matter the cost.
Yeah, that. You see like the ghost of that happening.
The world is slowly being taken over by the death root that is Godwyn. For when Godwyn died, his body was buried in the deep root depths, in what seems like an esteemed position directly below the Erd Tree.
So I knew that the other face was Godwyn, but I never noticed the face here where you fight the dragon and Fia's hanging out. I never noticed that.
This would have...
So I don't know why there's two. I guess the story could be that like he grows all over the place, and so little faces pop up. Sort of like maybe you could compare it to like the Erd Tree, minor Erd Trees, like they're just showing up in different places.
Been done in accordance with the practice of Erd Tree burial, a process which replaced destined death. For under Marika's Golden Order, death exists, but it is not the end. And the roots of the Erd Tree should call to all of the dead in time, reabsorbing them into the great tree where they may one day be reborn. Godwyn, being a great hero, likely received the burial rites that placed him as close to the Erd Tree as possible, but this backfired horrifically, for the roots would instead take up Godwyn's cursed essence like a tree absorbs water and spread the mark of the centipede throughout the lands between via Deathroot. So it is that those who live in death were born, and the hunters of the dead would follow.
I serve the Golden Order, that I might put this crooked land to rights.
So Dee's out here just trying to kill
Following
those who
only
live
the
in death
guidance of the great Elden
that have
Ring.
been reborn.
Those who live in death fall outside the principles of the Golden Order. Their mere existence sullies the guidance of gold, tainting its truth. And so it is the vermin must be exterminated. Down to the very last.
The hunters of the dead are fanatics who are glad
The guidance of gold, he said. Also his armor set.
to have an absolute evil to contend with.
I was trying to maybe get a better visual, but I didn't. But his armor set is obviously like a golden armor set, being hugged by like a silver armor set. Left arm's gold, right arm silver. I wonder... I don't know. I was going to say I wonder what that means, but maybe nothing.
But does such an evil even exist in the fundamentals of order?
Are you acquainted with a man named Roger? You know, the piteous fellow hiding away on the balcony. He was a formidable spellblade.
The dude with
in
the
times
diaper.
Past. Don't let his easy air deceive you. He was wise beyond his years, stout of heart and clear of mind.
Ah, so you've met Dee. Dee is an old friend. We found ourselves journeying together for a time, bound by our exploration of death. But our paths have since diverged, never again to cross. Though that's hardly an uncommon fate.
They had a
Two
falling
friends.
out.
No more, though. You see him now, ravaged by thorns, muttering and rambling, like he's half dead already.
Couldn't change a thing.
I can't stomach to watch. Take well the lesson, friend. That's how you end up when seduced by those who live in death.
That's what I was talking
Grace
about.
is sullied. It rots people from the inside. Breaks them.
This is what the Golden Order has been reduced to.
Look at this
Godric,
dude.
the runt of the litter, dependent on the strength of tarnished champions. But Fia's favor is bestowed upon her consorts. It allows them to ignore any aches or pains, for in death there is only peace. For in death there can be no sensation.
Ooh, man, that's a pretty big statement. I mean, it's just a little part of the video, but in death there is only peace. There can be no sensation. I don't know, man. Just gives you something to think about. I mean, that sounds... Don't kill yourself.
Defeated Godric and claimed
Just saying.
yourself a great rune.
It's a deep conversation.
Looks like we both got what we wanted out of Stormvale, didn't we? Well done, friend. Always good to see you safe. So, the misshapen corpse under Stormvale. That is a sacred relic of the Black Knives plot, as that famed night of assassination is known. It happened during the golden age of the Erd Tree, long before the shattering of the Elden Ring. Someone stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from Malekith, the Black Blade, and on a bitter night, murdered Godwyn the Golden.
Got him.
That was the first recorded death of a demigod in all history, and it became the catalyst. Soon, the Elden Ring was smashed, and thus sprang forth the war known as the Shattering. I once wished to become a scholar, you see. I've spent many an hour scouring the archives for knowledge of that fateful plot. And that thing is to blame for the shape I'm in now. I urge the utmost caution. Don't disturb the corpse more than necessary.
Wonder what he did when he went down there, because you can go down there as your character and mess around. There's really nothing to do, but he must have was he messing around with some magic and ended up messing himself up? Oh,
My
Fia.
dear, have you ever heard of Black Knife Prince? dear Roger likes to talk of them when abed, and the ancient plot in which the first of the demigods was slain. The black knives wielded by the assassins who
Such a
committed
cool
the
knife.
act, along with the impressions they made, somehow hide the truth of the conspiracy. These grand affairs are hardly my forte, but dear Roger began to weep as he spoke. In truth, I've heard tell from someone else about the black knife prints that fascinate dear Roger so, but it wouldn't be right to give this to him, stuck as he is in the round table hole.
Why is
Perhaps
Roger so
you
fascinated
could
with
make
this?
use of it.
With a crudely drawn map in hand, we can find a living black knife, one of many who lurk purposeless in the dark places of the lands
Oh,
between.
right.
And D is here to help you.
Oh, that's right. Is this up in on the mountaintops? Oh, it is. Tish? Is it Black Knife Tish here?
Hello. You've been busy weeding Deathroot, I take it. I thank you, as your brother in arms.
The Black Knives were, after all, instrumental in undoing D's beloved order. So here, he takes his revenge, and you walk away with an imprint of a black knife.
Good for us.
This is a black knife print. I can scarcely believe you managed to get your hands on this. Please, I beg of you, lend me the knife print for a time. I'd love nothing more than to tease out its secrets. Half my body has been suffused with death.
Ugh.
I'm certain it will help me see. Though only a fragment, a very specific ritual had to be performed to impart the power of the Rune of Death. Traces of the one who performed the rite are sure to remain in the imprint. Truly, you have my thanks. Time can move rather slowly, stuck here, you know. A little conversation goes a long way.
Dude's just bored. He's giving us all this info, and then he's just like, well, anyway, what else is going on? We was talking about the weather and shit. What's up with this smooth jazz, man?
So Roger continues his investigation, and you continue to seek out Deathroot, waiting for the truth of things to be revealed.
Rough.
You are basically put to good use by everyone around you.
I am pleased to see you again. Would you like me to hold you? Now,
Hold me.
come closer. You are so very warm. I heard that you lent a hand to dear Roger. He seemed positively elated. He must be possessed of great mental fortitude.
Is there
It anchors
is there a positive reason to like be held by Fia? Because I know you get the debuff or whatever, but is there like a reason to do it other than like it's fun?
He must be possessed of great mental fortitude. It anchors his will and sustains him, despite his grievous wounds. You truly are a champion to dear Roger, and myself too. My dear, might I ask something of you? Could you please find the owner of this dagger and return it to them? A certain person gave it to me
On it.
as a gift. It's a very precious thing. It must have a special place in the owner's heart. So I would like for the original owner to have it back, if you wouldn't mind.
A special place
This
in the
weathered
owner's
dagger
heart.
was once a special weapon of gold and silver intertwined, except now it has been worn down and marred by a black gash. It's natural to think that this weapon belongs to D, but then why didn't Fia give it back to him herself?
I wondered that myself.
Well,
They're just right in the next
what
room,
have
right?
we here? How did you get your hand on that dagger? Well, that hardly matters. I know very well whose dagger it is. Why don't I return it to them for you? Good
Why does he cover up the eyes of the armor? That's so weird.
work bringing this to me.
Maybe it's just heavy.
It's almost as if they're playing a game with the dagger,
Right.
arguing over whose heart it truly deserves to be buried within.
Right.
And it's a game that Dee ends up losing. For Fear developed a sorcery to oppose the Round Table hold.
Remember that
a
door?
mist of Deathblight.
It was
that
open all of a
is
sudden.
only effective
What's in there?
against the Tarnished, especially if they confront you in a small, enclosed room.
What? That's when you learn. Yeah.
Finally, it is returned to its rightful place. The stolen Hallowbrand of the exalted noble. And now, I must bid you goodbye as well, though I ask you deliver this message to the Round Table hold. I am Fear, deathbed companion, hark Round Table.
Hawk.
Disturb not the death of Godwyn, the exalted. We who humbly live in death, live in waiting, to one day welcome our Lord. What right does anyone have to object? Our Lord will rise. The Lord.
How will
of
they
the
welcome
many
him? How would he
and
rise?
the meek.
Is that... Do we...
All this time,
Yeah, how does he come back? So she's saying that, but he's like dead. Only his body lives, but his spirit doesn't. Why do they expect he's going to come back? Was that touched upon in a previous video? Anyway, someone let me know that.
Fear was getting closer to recovering the Hallowbrand.
I mean, the whole point of the Age of the Duskborn is that you stop the reincarnation. So why would there be reincarnation?
Dee stole from Godwyn. For this Hallowbrand,
What'd he
is
just
to
say?
keep the All this time, Fear was getting closer to recovering the Hallowbrand that Dee stole from Godwyn. For this Hallowbrand is the key. It's the curse mark that the Black Knives carved to split death in half, which started all of this in the first place.
I was going to ask what the Hallowbrand is, but that's the mark.
Fear has a use for it, while Dee is dead. But Dee is
Wasted.
also alive, for Devon and Darian are the inseparable twins.
I
They
thought it
are
was
of
just
two
his brother.
bodies and two minds, but one single soul.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Supposedly.
I just thought Devin was his brother.
This made them reviled by many, but they found solace within the Golden Order, which accepted their duality
Okay, so Silver Boy here is Devin?
itself. They even had armaments forged to represent their state of being. An inseparable sword and a twinned suit of armor.
Just a
These items
representation.
long to find their way back to the other Dee,
Cool.
who yet lives. Devon slumbers in the Eternal City, tormented by Deathblight. And it's here that he is said to have stood before the Prince of Death, suggesting he was the one who carved the curse mark from Godwyn's flesh. Perhaps he even used a weathered dagger to carve it out, and perhaps this dagger was then mockingly gifted to a rotten witch, setting into motion the events that would lead to his brother Darian's death.
Oh, D is Darian. Darian and Devin? Uh-oh, we got metal. Let's fucking go. Ass stomp.
The Mariners are a joke, making your hunt for the spreading death root an easy one.
Yeah.
It shows up in Limgrave, in Leonia, even in the mountaintops of the Giants, and it is most common wherever there is stagnant water, which is a medium that represents corruption and defilement, and the death root infects all manner of creatures who meet their end sporting these distorted pustules of Godwyn's own visage.
Looking good, man.
Deathroot even starts to get the better of Marika's own shadow. After all, in the end, what we're feeding him is now much more than just the missing fragments of the Rune of Death. Something has changed.
Strange. there's something else. I must consume more.
More. Dude never gets enough. Sit down. Apologize to me.
Put it away. I won't forget again. Mine appetite. My sin. I must have more. I must consume more. It is all consumed. Still, I am not sated. Not nearly sated. America! Is this what it is?
Ever since somebody said America but spelled it like Marica, like America, in the comments, every time I hear America, I think America. And it makes me laugh. Listen to him.
Not nearly sated. America! Is this what it is? To sin? Will things never be the same again?
Ooh, he's mad.
Tarnished. My thanks
You're welcome.
for thy long labor. But I have done all I can in this land. Henceforth, mine appetite shall be my sole companion. Farewell.
Deuces.
Hello. I was hoping to see you. My examination is complete.
Oh, you know what? I didn't realize this one during my playthrough because I actually played Bloodborne after I played Elden Ring, and his like the blanket that he has over him reminds me of those people in the Bloodborne. I think it might be in the DLC. No, it's not in the DLC. In Bloodborne, there's that tall tower where there's like little blobs of people, and some of them talk. They're drip drop, drip drop. You know, they're those people. It reminds me that, like, it looks like the exact same thing.
Here's the knife print back, with my thanks. Now I have a fairly good idea who performed the rite upon the blade. The person who orchestrated the Night of the Black Knives.
Who was it? Fia?
Lunar Princess Rani. One of the children born to King Consort Radigan and his first wife, Ranala.
Excuse
Demigod
me?
and sister to General Radahn and Praetor Rykard.
So Rani kills Godwyn and herself, killing Godwyn's spirit, but her body.
Was the name I discovered in the imprint. If Rani truly is the one who plotted that fateful night, then she should bear the curse mark of destined death somewhere upon her flesh. I would like you to
Interesting.
procure it for me. And then all will be laid bare. I will have the answers I've sought for so long.
Is that Rani's
Do
body?
you know of those who live in death? These souls have committed no offense. They have every right to life, only they happen to touch upon a flaw in the order. By Dee's account, these defiled fiends must be expunged. But truth be told, I seek the curse mark to save them.
If we're looking for someone to blame in all of this mess, then where do we land?
Look at this guy.
Does the guilt lie with those who live in death, who touched Deathroot? Or with Godwyn, who spawned it? Or should we blame Rani, who thought up the plot in the first place? Personally, I think any fault goes even further back to Marika, who, in her hubris,
it's always
thought that
Marika.
she could free the world from death. Death and life, should never have been separated.
Okay. So now I'm seeing a path to the ending, right? We're just living normal worlds. People live and they die, and we're all fine with it. Then America comes around and says, oh, you all can live forever or be reborn. And without thinking about all the crazy shit that's going to mess up.
A fact that is more clear now than ever.
Maybe I should tell you. Lately, I feel I'm on the precipice of falling into a deep, fathomless slumber. And I have an inkling it could spell trouble for you somehow. So I just wanted to get the apology out of the way beforehand. Since you're so scary and all.
What does it even mean?
This is unfortunate.
I feel like I'm going to fall asleep soon. Warning. Alpha.
Fies.
A curse mark Fia. Godwin.
Full circle.
Oh, full circle.
Forms
rune. Interesting. The full circle forms the rune. The two halves of the circles are on Godwin and Ronnie.
So, whoever can obtain two halves of the curse mark can form a rune. With his dying breath, Roger hints that Fia might be able to use this. And a letter, scrawled by Roger on his deathbed, tells us one last thing. It's that Dee had a twin brother, and that the other Dee might be found in an aqueduct beside the eternal city of Nokron. Roger implores us to put his friend to
I love the
rest,
architecture of Nokron.
reunite the twins,
Upside down stuff's really
which
cool.
we do by returning Dee's armor.
Does he help you fight these guys?
Roger goes on to reveal that Devon stood before Godwin, not far beyond this spot, and indeed Devon and the dagger were death-blighted. So we travel a little farther, upwards to a nameless city that's overtaken by roots, and Godwin himself.
Oh, Lord Godwin. Oh, my poor sweet lordling should have died a true death. A scion of the Golden Bough, sentenced to live in death. How could such a thing come to be? Oh.
That is a pretty crazy thing to
Here,
have your
Fia
soul
finally
dead but your
lies with
body
Godwin,
live.
Prince of Death, defending his
I have always thought that this just looks like a fish. Doesn't it look like a big fish tail? Like here's the tail and here's a big... I thought it was just a big fish. I mean, I obviously know it's not now, but I'm just saying.
Here, Fia finally lies with Godwin, the Prince of Death, defending his being with the sapped strength of every hero who lay with her.
Bunch of pushovers.
Including, of course, the famed spellblade, Roger.
Well, let's go, Roger. You gotta be better than that. I like they're using all the Garang smooths. We got your Pumpkinhead, Onion Bro, and someone else.
Ah, there you are. I knew you would come.
It's five
What
people
is it
just
you
died in
intend?
front of her. She's like,
To
oh,
deny us
oh, hey.
and our ways, like the dogmatic brutes of the Golden Order. You are an odd one. I am the guardian of those who live in death. They call me a foul and rotten witch, yet you still wish to be held by me?
Yes, yes. I'm a man of
This is
special
the
needs.
other Hallowbrand. How did you...
Hold me.
Oh, my utmost thanks. With this, Godwyn can take his rightful place as first of the dead and claim a second, illustrious life. You are our true champion.
Okay, so this
And
is
though
how we
I
bring him
can't be
back.
of any use to you, can I hold you tight? If only for a moment.
Seems kind of hypocritical to bring him back with a second life and then stop that from happening to everybody else.
I will soon lay with Godwyn, and it will surely stir within me the new life of the Golden Prince and first dead of the demigods, as the rune of those who live in death. Please, do one thing for me. Brandish this child.
I wore the hell out
My
of that
rune.
armor set for a long time.
And take for yourself the throne. Stay the persecution of those who live in death by becoming our Elden Lord. This is goodbye, my dear, but I am satisfied. I choose to lie with Godwyn of my own will. Not
So
the
weird.
remains of one chosen for me, and I will bear a child who will inherit your warmth too. What
Bear a
greater
child.
blessing.
Okay, so I didn't want to say it out loud because it's gross and I don't want you all to think I'm, weird. But she's talking about lying with people the whole time. Like, I kind of thought that was like, had some sexual inference there, like, is that what you're saying? Like, you have sex with dead people? But did she not just say that? She's going to lie with him, his like dead corpse body there, and bear a child? Like, that's pretty insane.
Blessing could there be but to be born a deathbed companion?
Now, Fia can fulfill her purpose and initiate a rebirth, a gestated rune that tells the broken story of those who live in death. So, Fia lies with Godwyn, and she dreams. But it's within this dream that we realize that there is something lurking inside the Prince of Death.
Uh-oh.
A being who, even after all this time, never once stopped fighting against the death in their companion. They are the last thing that stands between Godwyn and his new life, and here they refuse to let go, for Godwyn was a friend, and they were the great ancient dragon,
Ding ding.
Dread Fortisax.
Fortisax ain't nothing. I beat Fortisax first try. Real talk. I think one of the craziest things about these games is how, like, sometimes I can get stuck on a like a boss for 50 times I just die and they're not even considered difficult, and then sometimes you can one shot like the most difficult boss. You just happen to have the right play style for that character or for that NPC, not NPC, for that enemy. Should have had a different summon on there, man. Black Knife Tish. That's a good summon. Black. Fortisax is a kick-ass looking boss, though. Look at this. So cool. The dragon fights in the whole game are pretty good. Not all of them are, like, mind-blowing, but... Look at this whole arena, the lightning everywhere. It's really cool. Rune is now whole. Ka-chunk.
Finally, you can bring the entire broken curse mark itself into order. The mending rune of the Death Prince, which enables his bastardization of life to become an official part of Death's story. But first, you have to burn down the Erd Tree and walk alongside Flame to meet the road of destined death, which leads to Faram Azula.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier with Garank. Is this in a different time?
Floating outside of time.
Outside of time? Okay. Maybe I'm going to get my question answered here.
And against all logic, Deathroot now grows here too. Turns out, nowhere is safe from its touch, even in Faram Azula, where the true rune of death is still protected by none other than Malakath.
I think Faram Azula is the best design.
So you might feed him Deathroot.
It's the best design area of all FromSoft games. Fight me.
Help him to achieve the one and only task that Marika saw fit to entrust him with.
Witness tarnished.
Witness!
Why cover destined death? 'Tis no matter. I hereby vow that destined death shall not be stolen again.
Well, let's go then.
Cower before Malekith, Marika's black blade.
I actually did use Black Knight Tish to beat this. It's a little knowing the story now, it's a little interesting, you know. Kind of ironic. Ooh. Oh, look at that parry, dude. Vadi showing some, he's showing off on this video.
Marika, why wouldst thou gull me? Why? Shut up.
Got him.
Ha! Prince of Death, take a good long look. See the wrath of the Golden Order, the Order's justice writ in blood. This is what's become of your precious witch. Look at this rotten whore. No more children can be got from this useless flesh. This is a proper death,
Oh.
Prince. Behold,
This is Devon.
your mother is dead.
Whoa. So is that what I just saw? We give Dee's armor to Devon, and then I hope his name was Devon. I thought that's what I heard earlier. And then so we go through all that, and then he comes back later and kills her.
This is revenge, you witch, and you ghoul. This is the wrath of Dee.
Maybe they're both D, right?
Hello.
One and the
The
same.
rotten witch is dead. The Golden Order unsullied. Now I can look my brother Darian in the
Okay.
eye.
Yes, it is him.
Honeyed rays of gold, deliver my spirit. Darian, honeyed rays of gold. Ah. Don't you dare. Unless you want to die like a dog.
So if this happens and then you go, well, I guess you have the rune anyway, right? So Godwin doesn't need to live. We don't need to do anything with her laying there. Like, does her dying do anything? Or is he just got his revenge and it doesn't make a difference at this point?
Very well. Die. Die. Die.
What if D only spoke in words that started with D?
Then you are a blight. A defiler of the Golden Order and murderer of my brother.
I didn't
I'll
murder him.
grind your corpse into that.
You ain't doing shit. They don't know who you messed with. Look at that. The essence of Fortisax has my back.
Forgive me. Dari. Dari.
Okay. So he won't come. So Godwin doesn't come alive now? I don't know if I'm following this part very well.
As a deathbed companion, Fia had no choice but to lie with others, until the guidance of grace led her back to the lands between, where she used her chambers in the Round Table Hold to great effect, biding her time, listening to the secrets told to her in private, until she could use the strength of champions to speak for others, for the downtrodden, who had no champion. But soon, they will.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess I'm thinking it didn't matter, so I can still go complete the ending here, even though she's dead. Because I have the rune
Please,
of mending.
do one thing for me.
Not mending. Dark
Grant
mending? What was it
this
called?
Child,
Death
my
mending?
rune, and take for yourself the throne. Stay the persecution of those who live in death by becoming our Elden Lord.
Fia has finally lain with the remains of one that she chose, so that she might gestate a new beginning, called the Mending Rune of those who live in death.
Mending
a
Room of
gift
Death.
to the
Yes.
undead.
Okay, got it.
Who were born at the very end of an age, Duskborn, before the sun rises once more, in a land where they no longer have to hide.
There's a consistent pattern in all of the stories of Elden Ring. No matter which path you choose, you can always look at these things in a couple of different ways where it's going to be like, they're not necessarily the bad guys. Maybe not the frenzied flame ending. I get it. I thought there was a way to look at it that was a good way, but maybe not. I've been told many times. So, but most of them, it's like you're killing people for a greater good, or you think you're doing the right thing, even though there's another side that might look at it like as an evil thing. So I just think that's a constant pattern in all of this, in the whole game, where it's you have, depending on how you look at things, there's a positive and a negative, you know?
The fallen leaves tell a story of how a tarnished became Elden Lord. In our home, across the fog, the lands between, our seed will look back upon us and recall the age of the Duskborn.
Ooh, I like that one. Thanks for joining me for this one. I appreciate it. There's only one more left. Age of the Stars. Next time. See you then. Bye.